Okay, so TDS has dropped their trailer. I know I'm kind of late to this, and most of you probably have already seen this, but, well, it's just event gameplay. You could see the presents, the flying stuff, just the towers, the enemies, all of this. And then presumably what seems to be like the return of Krampus. In fact, yeah, below literally says Krampus returns on December 21st. That is in 2 days from now. It's going to come out along with Freezer rework, and I think that's about all of the leaks that we got before this event. But I think this event, oh, hold on. I think this event is going to be a lot better than their previous ones for a few reasons. And I'm also going to tell you what you should expect from this event. Let me do this good old extremely difficult map as we talk. So firstly, and pretty importantly, this event is following this Lunar Overture event. Everybody kind of knows this Lunar Overture event to not have been the most successful event for TDS. Like, there was a whole disaster with Act 3 being impossible and being completely unfinished at that. There was also the disaster with the storyline where it's like Act 1, felt like there was something to do with Umbra, this power cube. Act 2, kind of a little bit of info. And then Act 3, there was just like nothing to do with it at all. Basically, what I'm getting at is that TDS has just experienced like literally one of the worst possible things that can happen to an event. Within a few days after their event releasing, the player count almost just basically dropped back down to what it was before. And that, of course, to no one's surprise, is absolutely terrible. Nobody wants to be working for months on an event just to have it barely do anything, By the way, I'm just starting with Executioner here because you could see it's pretty good. After this scenario, though, of course, TDS had to have learned their lesson. They won't let something like this slide again. They're going to make sure that they, make an event that they can actually finish in time, which is why I'd say the trailer actually looks really good. Looks like the event is actually ready. And it doesn't look like there's more than that event, at least. Looking back through the history of events in TDS, a very, very good event, besides Violent Nights, of course, which is what TDS tried to aim for with this one, was actually Frost Invasion. Frost Invasion raised the player count for a very long time after it was released, and even though the update after Frost Invasion was, Solar Eclipse, took a very long time to make, the player count was actually sustained for a good amount of time. That was because the event was made to be replayable. Like, you could play Frost Invasion for fun. I can almost guarantee you for a fact that nobody's playing, what was it, Act 3 for fun? There's not really any reason to. I mean, there's UGCs, but even then, those you don't get that often. Hence why I don't think the player count was very sustained. This was also, I think, probably the first event that really opened their eyes to like, oh crap. Like, yes, we're this popular game developing company or whatever. That does not mean we're just immune. They're still going to suffer their mistakes. Like, because of how flawed this event was, again, the player count can pretty clearly show that because the event was flawed, the player count went down pretty quickly. There's also something else pretty important to mention, and that is TDX. This is like the first competition TDS has pretty much ever had. There's never a really tower defense game that could compete with TDS. TDS always had more players, but now, of course, with the existence of TDX, TDS kind of has their competition. Yes, there was like tower battles and tower heroes and all that, but I still wouldn't call them competition for TDS, just because, well, TDS is its own kind of game type. And considering Tower Battles would never update and Tower Heroes is kind of a different game style, and heck, even like Toilet Tower Defense, you just really can't consider them competition. But TDX, however, like after Act 3, a lot of people were like, oh my god, we can't with TDS, can't wait for TDX. People were like, we need a new game now. It's just that TDS can't really afford to slack off anymore. If they want their event to be successful, they're going to have to compete with whatever TDX is going to make, which is probably going to be good, while also not repeating the same mistakes of Act 3. So I'm guessing that's why we're not getting a Knights event, because that's just going to take too long to make. It just seems like one cool map, a cool boss fight, and yeah, even a Freezer rework to add on to that. Probably looking at something a little bit closer to Frost Invasion. Again, that was a successful event, so they could do something like that. And even though I've said before, like, what else other than disappointment can we expect from TDS? I think with this new competition, we're actually going to have a pretty good event. Now, if you also want a good event, you better like, subscribe, and use StarCody, and I'll see ya.